Breaking news, tensions have erupted in the South China Sea as the Chinese Coast Guard has rammed a Philippine supply ship near the contested Ayungin Shoal, escalating an already volatile situation. The images that flashed across screens were stark and sobering. A rust-streaked Philippine vessel, the BRP Laguna, braving the open sea on a critical supply run to the Marines stationed aboard the grounded BRP Sierra Madre, a symbol of Philippine resolve in these disputed waters. Out of the haze, a massive Chinese Coast Guard ship loomed into view, its horns blaring, engines roaring, and its intentions unmistakably hostile as it bore down on the much smaller Philippine vessel. Despite the overwhelming odds, the Filipino crew stood their ground. Their faces were etched with determination, refusing to be intimidated or bullied off their rightful course. The Chinese ship didn't just threaten from a distance, it closed in, using its sheer size and power to physically push the Laguna, attempting to force it away from its mission and from Philippine waters. On the bridge, the captain's voice cut through the tension, barking orders as the crew worked frantically to avoid a direct collision. Yet they refused to turn back, determined to fulfill their duty no matter the risk. The world watched in disbelief as the Chinese hull struck the Filipino boat's port side. The sound of crunching metal echoed across the waves, chaos erupted on deck, and the incident became a clear, undeniable act of aggression broadcast for all to see. Despite the damage, the BRP Laguna remained afloat. Battered but unbroken, the crew pressed on, determined to complete their mission and deliver supplies to their fellow countrymen. The Chinese ship circled menacingly, water cannons at the ready, unleashing powerful sprays dangerously close to the Philippine vessel, a chilling warning that further defiance could bring even harsher consequences. This was no isolated incident. It was the latest and perhaps the most violent chapter in a long-running David versus Goliath struggle, one small nation standing up to a regional giant in defense of its rights and its people. The confrontation at Ayungin Shoal is more than just a headline or a fleeting news story. It's a pivotal moment of truth for the Philippines, and a test of the world's resolve to uphold international law and order. This conflict is about far more than ships and maritime laws. It's about national pride, the security of vital sea lanes that carry the lifeblood of trade, and the hopes and future of 115 million Filipinos who depend on these waters for their livelihood and identity. For the Philippines, this is a fight for sovereignty, dignity, and survival, a struggle against a powerful neighbor determined to redraw Asia's map and assert its dominance over the region's most strategic waters. The world is watching, holding its breath, waiting to see what happens next in this high-stakes maritime standoff, knowing that the outcome could shape the future of the region and perhaps the world for years to come. This struggle isn't just about rocks and reefs or lines drawn on a map. It's about the Filipino identity, the spirit that binds a people to their homeland. Every fisherman chased from his traditional grounds feels the conflict in his bones, carrying the weight of history and hope with every journey. These waters are part of the national story, sailed by generations who passed down their knowledge, their dreams, and their resilience. To be told you're a stranger in your own home is an attack on your identity, a wound that cuts deep into the heart of every Filipino. The issue resonates from Manila's bustling streets to the quiet, remote coastal villages, uniting the nation in concern and determination. It's about the right to navigate and harvest resources without fear, to provide for families and preserve a way of life that has endured for centuries. The Philippines fought hard for freedom. Yielding sovereignty now is unthinkable, a betrayal of those who sacrificed for independence. The image of a small supply boat facing a massive Coast Guard vessel is a symbol of national defiance, a testament to courage in the face of overwhelming odds. The West Philippine Sea is the nation's backyard, vital for food security, marine biodiversity, and the livelihoods of millions. Losing it would devastate the economy, leaving families without income and communities without hope. It would also erode the Filipino way of life, traditions, and the sense of belonging that comes from living by the sea. Defending these waters is an act of self-preservation, a duty to future generations who deserve the same freedoms. The struggle shapes the nation's future. Will Filipinos bend to pressure or stand firm on principle, united in their resolve? Heroes today are not just soldiers on the front lines, but scientists, lawyers, and advocates who fight in courtrooms and laboratories, and journalists, all defending a rules-based order, ensuring the world hears the Filipino story. This is a story of a resilient nation fighting for its rights, its dignity, and its soul, undaunted, unyielding, and united. At the heart of the conflict are two irreconcilable worldviews, each rooted in a different understanding of history, sovereignty, and what it means to be a nation in the modern world. China's nine-dash line claims nearly the entire South China Sea, citing ancient maps and centuries-old records as evidence of its supposed historical rights over these waters. For Beijing, this is about more than territory. It's about national rejuvenation, restoring lost glory, and asserting what it sees as its rightful place in the world order. The Philippines, however, stands firmly on the foundation of modern international law, specifically, the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, which defines clear maritime boundaries and rights for coastal states. Most of the West Philippine Sea, including Ayungin Shoal, falls within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, granting it exclusive rights to resources and navigation in these waters. China's sweeping claim is seen as illegal and baseless by much of the world, with many countries and international bodies calling for respect for established legal norms. The clash is not just about territory, it's history versus law, might versus right, and the age-old question of whether power or principles should shape our world. The Philippines took China to international court, defending not just its territory but the principle that rules, not power, should govern nations, setting a precedent for smaller countries everywhere. When Chinese ships ram Filipino boats, they act on their own narrative of entitlement. Yet, Filipinos stand their ground, backed by international law and the support of a global community that values justice. This is not a simple misunderstanding, but a direct and ongoing conflict of claims, with real consequences for people and nations. The future of the region and the global order depends on which view prevails, the rule of law or the rule of force. The outcome will shape not just Asia but the world for generations to come. The Filipino response to foreign pressure is rooted in a long history of resistance. From Lapu-Lapu's defiance of Magellan to the People Power Revolution, Filipinos have always fought for sovereignty. This legacy is alive today. Stories of past heroes inspire new generations. When Chinese ships encroach, Filipinos see another chapter in their struggle for independence. The spirit of resistance is democratic and collective. The People Power Revolution showed the world the strength of united citizens. Today, that same spirit fuels the defense of the West Philippine Sea. Protests, social media campaigns, and public support for legal action all channel this legacy. The belief endures. Just as they reclaim democracy, Filipinos can defend their sovereignty. The Philippines' geography, over 7,600 islands, poses a challenge for any invader. Shallow, reef-filled waters and a jagged coastline make large-scale occupation nearly impossible. For defenders, the terrain offers endless opportunities for concealment and asymmetric tactics. Typhoons and unpredictable weather further complicate any hostile operation. Filipino sailors, familiar with these waters, have a home field advantage. The archipelago encourages decentralized defense, small, mobile units spread across islands. An attack on one island won't cripple the whole defense. The West Philippine Sea's shoals and reefs are hazardous for large warships. The grounded BRP Sierra Madre is a prime example, an outpost in a hard-to-reach spot. In this maritime chess game, every island and typhoon becomes a piece of the Philippines' fortress. The Philippines is not alone. Its alliance with the United States is a powerful deterrent. The 1951 Mutual Defense Treaty means an attack on the Philippines could trigger U.S. military response. Recent U.S. statements have clarified, aggression in the South China Sea will not go unanswered. U.S. warships and aircraft regularly patrol the region, challenging China's claims. Joint military exercises like Balikatan strengthen cooperation and readiness. The U.S. provides aid, training, and intelligence, helping modernize the Philippine military. New agreements allow U.S. forces to rotate through Philippine bases, some facing the West Philippine Sea. This forward presence signals that the U.S. is an active regional player. The alliance raises the cost of conflict for China, giving the Philippines space to resist coercion. In 2013, the Philippines turned to international law, filing a case against China under UNCLOS. China refused to participate, but the case went forward. In 2016, the tribunal ruled overwhelmingly in favor of the Philippines. China's nine-dash line was declared baseless. Its actions violated Philippine rights. The ruling gave the Philippines legal and moral high ground. It transformed the dispute into a clear case of defending rights under international law. The verdict is a diplomatic weapon, cited in protests and international forums. While unenforceable, it isolates China and rallies global support for a rules-based order. For the Philippines, the Hague ruling is a shield of legitimacy in its struggle. In times of crisis, Filipinos turn to bayanihan, community spirit and cooperation. Today, bayanihan fuels the national effort to defend the West Philippine Sea. Fishermen's groups, activists, and ordinary citizens all play a role. Their stories put a human face on the conflict, galvanizing public opinion. Civilian resistance, fishermen sailing despite risks, supply missions to contested waters, shows unity. Social media campaigns and peaceful protests spread awareness and pride. This groundswell of support strengthens the government's hand in diplomacy. The message to China and the world: the Philippines is united in defending what is theirs. The Philippines can't match China ship for ship, so it's investing in asymmetric defense. Fast attack craft, shore-based missiles, and advanced surveillance make aggression costly for any adversary. The goal, not to defeat China outright, but to make any attack too painful to pursue. Military modernization is underway, signaling serious intent to defend national territory. Economic ties with China complicate matters. Conflict would hurt both sides. This mutual vulnerability acts as a brake on escalation. The West Philippine Sea crisis is a test for the international order. If China prevails by force, it sets a dangerous precedent worldwide. That's why other nations, Japan, Australia, the UK, France, Germany, support the Philippines. The lonely stand of a supply boat is, in truth, a defense of a world where rules matter and sovereignty is respected. The enduring Filipino spirit now stands on the front line of this global challenge.